Whenever you're ready,
We're
Mr.
ready.
President.
All right, at this time, we're going to call the regular board meeting to order.
Thank you, Mr. President. I recommend approval of the agenda as presented.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Southern,
Yes.
Mr. Wood,
May not be bad.
He's not back.
He took more than.
There he is.
we're working on
Mr. Wood, I think you are voted, excuse me, you are muted and we're voting on the agenda. So he just called on you. Are you a yay or a nay?
I'm always a yay.
Oh.
Dr. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Rudolph,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. And with the vote, the motion passes.
All right, good deal. Well, tonight we welcome the Teachers of the Year from each of our schools. 6 are present with us tonight, and 1 is participating virtually. And so we're glad to have Ms. McConnell also, who could not be here physically. We're glad to have her virtually, but 6 are here with their families, and we're so glad to have you here. For the benefit of the audience, our Teachers of the Year are chosen by each school faculty, and these individuals are not only outstanding people, but they have the respect and admiration of their colleagues. And it says so much when the people that you work alongside every day in and day out, nominate you for such an award as this. So tonight we have a short video presentation to introduce each of these outstanding educators. I asked their principals to capture some photos in the school environment and send those to me. And so we put those pictures together and create a little video that we're going to use tonight. And I also asked these teachers to share a few thoughts. So I'm going to share their thoughts with you as we present our Muscle Shoals City Schools Teachers of the Year for 2020-2021. The Howell Graves Preschool Teacher of the Year is Stephanie Johnson. Mrs. Johnson has taught kindergarten at Howell Graves for 5 years and has 7 years of experience. One of her favorite sayings is, "Give yourself grace." When asked what she loves the most about teaching, she says, "Seeing the light bulb moment when a concept or skill finally clicks." The Howell Graves Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Stephanie Johnson. The Webster Elementary Teacher of the Year is Paige Aldridge. Mrs. Aldridge has taught special education at Webster for 5 years and has 10 years of experience. She says, "Together, the families and I witness progress. We jointly work toward goals in both the home and the school setting, and most importantly, we jointly celebrate when the child reaches his or her goals." The Webster Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Paige Aldridge. The Highland Park Elementary Teacher of the Year is Cassie McConnell. Mrs. McConnell has taught at Highland Park for 6 years and has 7 years of experience. She currently teaches 2nd grade. She says teaching during the pandemic has taught her to never take teaching in a normal setting for granted. She also praises the wonderful relationships among the staff at Highland Park. She says, "My advice for any future teacher is to create positive relationships with your colleagues. You can learn so much from those around you." The Highland Park Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Cassie McConnell. The McBride Elementary Teacher of the Year is Terry Goins. Mrs. Goins has taught at McBride for 25 years and currently teaches 4th grade math, ELA, and Alabama history. She says, "I love watching the light bulb moment with my students and seeing them accomplish things they never thought they could. I love watching them smile inwardly when they have pushed themselves and achieved a goal. I just enjoy watching my students grow." The McBride Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Terry Goins. The Muscle Shoals Career Academy Teacher of the Year is Sherry Perkins. Mrs. Perkins has taught as a high school career tech teacher in Muscle Shoals for 30 years. She says, "One thing that I think is most important to future teachers is that they stay relevant and passionate about their subject matter. I love all things related to design, and because of that, I'm able to use my passion for my subject matter to be relevant and relatable to my students."
This helps my students pursue their passion for their future career preparedness. The MSCA Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Sherry Perkins. The Muscle Shoals Middle School Teacher of the Year is Christina Porter. Mrs. Porter has taught science at Muscle Shoals Middle School for 10 years. When asked what she would say to a new teacher, she says, "Your first couple of years of teaching are tough, but take the time to connect with other teachers that will encourage you and find a mentor who will help guide you through the adventure. Remember that mistakes are how we learn. No one is perfect, but we experience growth when we choose to learn from our mistakes." The Middle School Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Christina Porter. The Muscle Shoals High School Teacher of the Year is Holly Brooks. Mrs. Brooks has taught science at MSHS for 6 years. She has 11 years of experience. She says teaching can no doubt be difficult at times. However, the rewards far outweigh the challenges. The relationships I am able to build with my students give me the opportunity to share in their successes, their failures, their joy, and their pain. Seeing the growth and maturation of my students throughout a semester is one of the most rewarding things that keeps me going. The High School Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Holly Brooks.
Let's give them all a hand. When I asked for those pictures, Mr. Madden texted me and said, "Uh-oh, Ms. Perkins is in quarantine. I can't get a picture of her." So we were creative with that, and I appreciate you guys doing that. Had to use an old picture from last year. You didn't have a mask on, so I made a little note so you wouldn't know. When anybody think you weren't doing what you're supposed to do, Ms. Perkins. So, but due to COVID, we decided to do this ceremony a little bit differently, just to minimize the moving around and the shaking hands and passing things between each other. So when the Teacher of the Year came in, they had 2 things in their seat. They had a plaque designating them as the Teacher of the Year for their school, and there was also a complimentary gift from one of our greatest supporters in the area, Champies. And so on behalf of Champies and the Muscle Shoals School District, we hope you and your family will enjoy a nice meal at that restaurant. So now, at this time, it's my pleasure to announce the overall elementary and secondary Teacher of the Year. This is always a tough decision. It is made by an outside panel. Each of these nominees submitted their applications, and they're all wonderful. It's such a tough decision to make for this panel, but we have selected one from each level, elementary and high school, to represent our school district in the State Teacher of the Year program. So when I call your name as the winner, I'm going to ask your principal to come forward. Those plaques are right here on this table in front of me, face down. And so when I call your name, if your principal will come and then present you with the plaque at your seat. And if y'all want to grab a photo, you can. If you want to wait till you get back to school tomorrow, that'll be fine too. So without further ado, the elementary Teacher of the Year for the Muscle Shoals City Schools. And this one's going to be a little complicated because it is Miss Cassie McConnell who's joining us virtually. So let's give Miss McConnell a hand. So I'll ask Mr. Pounders if you'll go ahead and get her plaque, and all of those items there are her School Teacher of the Year items that you can take back to her. That's hers. Yep. And then one of these plaques right here, Mr. Pounders. And then the secondary Teacher of the Year for Muscle Shoals City Schools is Miss Holly Brooks. So Dr. David, can you come and
big things, I like it.
I think he got hers. Mr. Pounders got hers.
Congratulations, we can say 6 foot apart.
Yeah.
You're responsible.
There you go. Congratulations.
All right. Let's give all of them a hand. Thank y'all so much. Again, congratulations to all of you, all wonderful educators. You do a great job in our school system, and we certainly thank you for your service. Our board meeting will not last much longer. You're welcome to step out if you want to, but we're just going to move right along to the consent agenda at this time. And Mr. President, I recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented, which consists of the minutes from the last board meeting on December the 17th, the bills and accounts for December, the December financial report, and those December bank statements have been reconciled, declaration of surplus items from the Career Academy, an extension to the FFCRA, the meeting date change for the April board meeting, the resolution from the EMA director on the hazard mitigation planning, and then the repayment of Colbert County taxes that were overpaid to the school system between 2016 and 2019. And with that, Mr. President, I recommend approval of the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Southern?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Rudolph?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. And with that, the motion passes.
All right. Moving right along to the personnel report, I recommend approval of the personnel report as presented.
Do I have a motion to approve the personnel report as presented?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel report as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Southern?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Rudolph?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. And with that, the motion passes.
For the benefit of the audience, the personnel report consists of the following. Under leave of absence, Rebecca Cantrell. This is an extension of a previously approved leave. She is a McBride Elementary teacher, and this will be for the remainder of the school year. Terry Gorgeau, Muscle Shoals High School ELA teacher, for FMLA leave with flexible dates, but tentatively scheduled for or to begin April the 1st. Under employment, Quinethia Lipscomb, secretary bookkeeper at Muscle Shoals Middle School, effective February the 1st. Under other or contract employment or supplemental assignments, Kathy Wagnon for training and clerical services to assist as needed with training and the clerical needs in schools. That'll be effective between February 1st and the end of the school year. Jordan Crow for an extra instructional teaching block of English 8 at Muscle Shoals Middle School for the spring semester. Chris Porter for an extra instructional teaching block of advanced math 7th grade. It's a virtual class that's effective for this spring 2021 term. Jacqueline Goodwin, Winter Guard instructor for the band program during the spring 21 term. Monty Peterson, $1,500 wrestling coach supplement. And Hunter Thompson, volunteer soccer coach. And then these items are not board action items, but just for informational purposes only, as these folks will be employed through Kelly Staffing. That's Lakin Mann. She will be assisting in filling the leave that you just approved of Rebecca Cantrell at McBride to fill that 4th grade special education teacher leave. And then Candy Hester will be assisting at Muscle Shoals Middle School, teaching a couple of blocks of English language arts, and that is due to COVID and the creative scheduling that we had to do with our virtual and our in-person students. All right, and that's the personnel report. Mr. President, this time we have a school presentation. I'll recognize Ms. Shanetta Smith, principal at Hal Grace Preschool, and I believe she has submitted a video that she would like to share with us. good. Thank you, Ms. Smith, for that. That was good. All right, last thing that I have is just a brief superintendent's report. I'm sure you've all seen the news that there are nearly 10,000 fewer public school students in Alabama than there were this time last year, or at least at the beginning of the school year. And that's the significant decrease in enrollment is largely due, of course, to the pandemic, as parents chose to either keep their children at home or maybe send them to private school or seek other virtual options. But I did want you to know that in Muscle Shoals, we held our own, and we did not see a drastic drop in enrollment like some school systems across the state. But now the State Department is working to make sure that districts do not, experience a huge decrease in funding, because, school funding is based on your daily membership. And so and ours did drop a little bit, but it wasn't anything that we were totally alarmed about. But the State Department is hoping that we won't see a decrease in our funding. So that's definitely good news. We did receive word late last week that our district will receive almost $20,000 to provide a summer reading program and summer reading camps for our students. This funding is especially important as we work to meet the expectations of the Alabama Literacy Act. I know Dr. Woods and several of our principals and instructional partners work on that almost daily, it seems like at times. But that is something we are going to have to do. One, offer a summer reading program for those K through 3 students that do have reading deficiencies or show that they do. And then we're also discussing at this time some after-school tutoring that we need to offer as a part of that Literacy Act. So I'll be sharing more with you about that as we finalize those plans. We want to congratulate Monica Jeffries and our community education program for being awarded dependent care development grants in the amount of $64,500. And so Highland Park and Howell Graves, the middle school in Webster, will all receive over $16,000 for their extended day programs. And I know Ms. Jeffries worked hard on writing these grants, and it was a tremendous news to receive that for each of those school campuses. So congratulations to them. As I stated earlier during the work session, and just want to say it again on this recorded portion that will go out to the public, January is School Board Appreciation Month, and on behalf of our entire school system, I just want to thank our board members for your outstanding service. It's been such a difficult year and challenging in so many ways. And we all know this. You guys are ordinary people, ordinary working people that are doing extraordinary work and leading our school system in these difficult times. And just 5 outstanding people, and I'm honored and privileged to work alongside of you. And I'll end my report tonight with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, whose birthday we just celebrated this week. And the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that's the goal of education. And that's my goal, and I know it's yours each and every day that we come to work here in this wonderful school system. And with that, Mr. President, that's all I have.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Southern?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Rudolph?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, and with the vote, the meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, sir.
Good.